My friends, I was not looking forward to completing this game. But lo and behold, this crime epic turned out to be bigger, better, and bolder than any game of its type. In fact, Yakuza 0 is one of the best narrative experiences I have ever had while playing a video game. This game is also fine-tuned for completionists, even though there are a couple of design missteps that keep it from being fully optimized. Load up your ramen bowls and throw on your most stylish suit, friends, while I finally complete Yakuza 0.
Here comes a new challenger! Yes! Danger!
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another brand new episode of The Completionist, where we don't just beat the games, we complete them. And yeah, you're reading the title right. Enough of you have been complaining in the comments down below. Gerard, when are you gonna do Yakuza 0? Well, I'm shocked too. I never thought I'd ever get around to this one, but here we are. And I've gotta say, getting myself hyped up for this one was tough. But just like any organized crime syndicate, once I was in for good. So I went into Yakuza 0 with a lot of presumptions. I was intimidated because I was coming in completely cold. But Yakuza 0 completely upended my expectations and drew me in with its amazing world building and remarkably consistent tone. This game is so much more than any summary could explain. Yakuza 0 blends genres and gameplay styles with ease, and it became one of the most interesting and engaging games I've played this year. Yakuza games have been going strong since 2005. There are 7 main games and a ton of spin-offs, with way more on the way. The series is incredibly popular in Japan, but has always had sort of a niche market in the US. That is, until the release of this title, Yakuza 0. People like me who have always been curious about this long-running series were able to jump in with the prequel built for modern consoles. And this game was a surprise hit, the perfect entry point for newcomers and a great prequel for everyone who's already invested. I loved that it stands alone as a fantastic crime epic. The main games are third-person open-world role-playing adventure games. They take place in Japan with a heavy emphasis on character and style. They're essentially extremely well-produced crime dramas, with plenty of side quests and mini-games spread throughout. I was surprised at how quickly I was drawn into the high-stakes world of Yakuza. This is a series known for complex plots and an ever-increasing list of things to do, but Sega had the perfect solution to bring people in like me: a prequel game. The story starts off with a bang. It's 1988, and the main character, Kazuma Kiryu, is a heavy, working for the Yakuza as hired muscle. He soon finds himself framed for murder. He's released from his crime family, the notorious Tojo clan, and is rapidly caught up in an ever-escalating series of events as he attempts to clear his name, including backstabbing lieutenants, money-hungry real estate moguls, and a square block of land that everyone and their mom wants to legally own. With the stage set, I was free to start exploring Kamurocho. Most of this game involves walking around as either Kiryu or Goro Majima, the second protagonist who shows up around Chapter 3. Now, I spent the majority of my time getting into fistfights and talking to different people to advance the story. The combat has surprising depth to it, with several upgradable skill trees for each style of fighting. Honestly, I drew a lot of parallels between Yakuza 0 and my own day-to-day, walking around, talking to people to find out what I need to get done, and clobbering anyone who looks at me funny. Sorry, Ted. And the plot kept me on my toes, but the world itself is the real star. It's an 80s sandbox set in a seedy part of town, and I loved it. Plenty of games make an effort to show their worlds are lively and interesting, but the fictional Kamurocho district and neighboring Sotembori are the rare video game worlds where it feels like people actually live there. Hell, after putting in over 100 hours, I felt like I lived there too. This series is notorious for having tons of mini-games and other side content that is just as intricate as the rest of the game. I had to complete side stories, master dozens of different mini-games, and earn hundreds of billions of yen through various side businesses and gambling. This turned out to be another one of Yakuza 0's greatest strengths. There's always something to do in this game. Kamurocho and Sotembori are busy and full of distractions. There are bars, restaurants, and nightclubs, dozens of NPCs to interact with, and even entire games within the game to learn. Never heard of Mahjong? How about Shogi? Everywhere I turned from the main plot, it felt like there was a brand new game that needed to be learned and played. It got to the point where I'd be playing in my office, and every time Bradley or whoever would come in, they'd ask if I was playing something different, and I had to keep explaining to them that no, this is still Yakuza 0. Now, this game was published by Sega, and there are Sega arcades sprinkled throughout the 2 main areas, and some of the side missions required me to hit a certain amount of points in older arcade games like Space Harrier or Outrun. I wasn't expecting to get a mini masterclass in Sega arcade games, but I appreciated that this was part of the completion process. Now, the long and short of it is that most video games are defined by what you can do in the game. In Super Mario Bros., you run to the right and you jump. In Hollow Knight, you fight and explore. But in Yakuza 0, the sheer amount of verbs to perform and master is staggering, and almost every single thing in this game is tied to completion.
Crime fiction is one of the most popular forms of entertainment because there are millions of ways to tweak it. Yakuza 0 is a crime drama, sure, but the way it's presented made a huge impact on me and elevated everything else about the game. At the start, I thought the story was interesting. By the end of it, I felt like the entire experience was one of the best video game stories I'd ever come across.